Hey guys, welcome back to another session by yours truly. In this case, we're going to talk about second conditional. So we already covered first conditional, and this is kind of like the one that is right after. So in case you didn't understand the topic in class, make sure that you pay full attention, you take your notes, and if you still don't understand something, ask me in the class. All right. So without any further ado, let's get to it. So we first must ask ourselves, what do we use this topic for? All right, what do we use it for? And it's very easy to understand that we use this one for things that are probably not going to happen. Okay, so let me highlight that for you guys. Probably not going to be true. So sometimes we tend to dream about stuff that we want to do. Like if I say, oh, I'll be an astronaut, I'll buy a mansion, I'll win the lottery. Like all these things are probably not going to be true, at least for me in particular. Maybe you guys are, well, you guys are a lot younger. If you want to be an astronaut, go for it. But in my case, no, I'm pretty old right now. I think I'm past my prime. So yeah, I can't really do these things. So with me in mind, that would be true. It's probably not going to happen. And then we also have scenarios which are basically impossible, things that cannot be true. For example, we use second conditional to give advice. If I say, if I were you, I would take notes. So this is impossible because I'm not you. I can never be you. That is physically impossible, right? So we see how this cannot be true. All right. So keep that in mind as we go along. Now we're going to tackle the structure. So I want you to take a second and think about the general structure for conditionals. Pause the video and try and guess what are the two parts that make a conditional sentence. All right, I'm going to give you the answer if you didn't guess it right. Pretty sure you did. We always have a condition and we have a result. These are the two things that are going to make up our conditional sentences. We call the condition the if clause and the result is the main clause. We always have to associate these because once we start dabbling kind of like in the examples that I have here, we're going to start using if clause and main clause. Okay, so try and remember that. What is the difference if I start with a condition and with a result? Well, the only difference is that if I start with a condition, I need to add a comma, and you guys can see it right there. Okay. So the same way we made this note with first conditional, we have to make it again. If I start with a condition, I add a comma. Write that down. That is in the exam also. And if you don't add that comma, your sentences are going to be grammatically incorrect. Okay. So let's go into more detail. We want to focus on second conditional. So here we go. This is the structure for second conditional. Like we established, we have the if clause or the condition, and we also have the main clause or the result. So this is the structure for both of these. The condition is going to be in past simple, and then the result is going to have would and then infinitive. For us, the infinitive is basically the base form. Okay, so just remember base form, and you're going to be okay. And like we already established, we can also switch them. We can start with the result and then have the condition. In this case, it is pretty much the same, nothing changes. Would and the infinitive is still part of the result, and then past simple is still the condition. We just have to remember the only difference would be the little comma if we start with the condition. Okay. Now we're going to see an example. This is an example from one of my favorite movies. And we have, if Kotaro didn't meet Tobimaru, his dog, he would be very sad. So the little kid is Kotaro and the dog is Tobimaru. We can see them both running around. So we know that they do know each other. They did meet. So this would like they actually met. So saying that they did not meet would be a lie, right? Because they're right there. They're both physically there. So this would be an impossible situation. But let's establish more common everyday examples for you guys. So the first one is if I won the lottery, I would buy a big house. Like we talked about, this is very much a dream. The odds of winning the lottery, although you still have a possibility, they are very, very low. So that's why this would be considered dreaming. The same way we can start with a condition like we established, we can start with the result. The only thing, we already mentioned this, would be the little comma that we add right there when we start with the condition. Okay. So very important for you guys to know. And then we have another example over here. If I had his number, I'd call him. And then if we want to switch it, basically we just put him on the opposite side. If I'd call his number, or I'd call him if I had his number. In this case, if we don't have his number, we cannot call him, right? It's physically impossible. So that's why this is second conditional too. All right, moving on. I get a lot of questions sometimes of people asking me if you can make negatives. And the answer is, like we already saw in first conditional, yes, you can. So here we go. If I were you, I wouldn't go out with them. We can see right here that we're using a negative result. In the second example we have, we say, if I didn't have homework, I would go to the party. In this case, we have a negative condition. And in our last example, she wouldn't refuse $100 if he didn't act like that. We have negative condition and negative result. So it doesn't really matter which one is negative. It just depends on what you want to express. And then I also get a very common question, which is, how can I make a negative teacher? We have to be very careful with this because we always have to remember what structures are we using. So if we talk about the condition, we remember that we're using past simple. So we just have to remember what is the negative structure for past simple. And that's all you have to remember. Or that's the information that you need to have next to you when you're making your sentences. If somebody doesn't know the structure, make sure that you ask me and I'll be more than happy to provide it to you. Okay. And then for the results, well, we're using would. We just have to make that negative. So wouldn't. And that's all that there is to it. Yeah. Okay, we arrived to the section where we're going to try and explain how this is different from first conditional. Okay, so strap in and pay attention so you don't get them confused on the project. So we have to think about how we already mentioned in the second conditional that this is something that's unlikely to happen. Okay, so we have to really remember that. I'm going to make two examples. Both of them associate them with me, with your teacher, and answer. Okay. So in the first one, I'm gonna say if I had enough money, I would buy a house with 20 bedrooms and a swimming pool. You guys have to think about this. Do you think that I, with an average teacher's salary, could buy a house with 20 bedrooms and a swimming pool? Basically a mansion. Do you think that this is possible? Just with my average salary alone. And your answer is probably no, teacher. You cannot afford that. You would be right. So this is more of a dream. This is something I would say, just dreaming, basically. Oh, if I had enough money, I would buy this. Obviously, I won't have enough money, right? So this is a dream scenario, something unlikely to happen. But what happens if I say, if I have enough money, I'll buy some new shoes? Do you guys think that me, with an average teacher salary, can afford new shoes? If your answer is yes, then you would be correct. I can buy some new shoes. Maybe not some Yeezys, but I can buy some old school Vans or something along the lines of that price range. So yeah, this is a lot more likely. And here we have the comparison. We can see in second conditional something that's basically a dream, but in first conditional something that is very much likely to happen. All right, so that's the main difference. So we arrived to the end of the presentation. If you guys don't have any questions, well, I trust that you already made your mind maps or your concept maps. Here are the links for the sources in case somebody wants to check them out. But that would be it on my part. Stay tuned because I also have the video explanation for third conditional that is going to be exclusive to video. So make sure that you pay a lot of attention there and you take notes. See you guys. Take care. Peace.